We're joined by Louise Nicholas. Louise, good morning to you.
Good morning, Sean. How are you?
Good, but geez, I wish I wasn't talking to you. I thought you and your bravery had sorted crap like this.
Yeah, well, so had I, to be fair.
Have you had any prior knowledge of this or been involved in this, or are you just like reading it in the papers and hearing it on the radio and in the media the same as us?
Yeah, the same as you guys. I had no knowledge of the extent of what has actually gone on in the last while.
Well, it appears that a young woman had, a relationship that you couldn't have described as healthy with Jevon McSkimming. He got her a part-time job. He was 40, she was 20. She gets him a part-time job at the police, then kind of dumps her, but she is prepared to say there's something not right here.
Yep.
But there was clearly an absolute conspiracy or an absolute understanding, and this is why you were the first person I thought about when I read this story, Louise. She was ignored. She was marginalised, she was ridiculed, and they even went as far as taking a case against her, the police, under the Harmful Digital Communications Act, not because she was a bully, because the bullies wanted to protect themselves. There were so many, to me, similarities to what was done to you over years.
Yeah, that's what struck me, right to the heart, to be fair. It's what they put her through is incomprehensible. And at the end of the day, she did nothing wrong. She did everything right. And that's where, like you said, the bullies crowded around and, put her through the mincer.
I thought so much, and I met you, God, when you were 16, and I may have been the first journalist that you came and talked to through Dewar. It was the weirdest thing. It's always been my guilt that I couldn't do more with that, or I didn't know how to at the age of 25, Louise.
Yeah.
And I saw you battle on just year after year after year. And I really thought that had changed the culture in police, or the culture of New Zealand at the time, which was macho and this was okay. Is this a re-emergence of this culture, or is there something else going on here? Because I look at Jevon McSkimming, I look at Andrew Costa, they don't look like blokey blokes. They don't look like the Sholhams of this world who were just a-hole, macho, male chauvinist arseholes.
No, I think especially McSkimming, hid behind his uniform and his rank and was able to just do what he wanted to do. And, I cringe at the fact that, he just enabled the voiceless victims of rape. And for me, that they call it pornography, I call it inhumane rape. And that, let's not gloss over shit here, to be fair. It's about what he was enabling. And those babies, those toddlers, those young people, he allowed it to keep happening, and that is he needs to be locked up for a very, very long time.
Louise, the government says, "Oh yes, it's terrible." It was Labor appointed these people largely, and they've said, "Oh, we've got a new independent. We're going to have a new Inspector General of the Police, a new independent person."
Yep.
God, I feel like I've heard that before. I'm suggesting a Royal Commission to dive deep into this and see how it could be allowed to have happened. And as I said, I've just been sitting there scratching my head. I thought your bravery, your self-sacrifice in a number of ways would mean we wouldn't have to do this again. But I'm just saying we've got a new bureaucrat to keep an eye on things might not be the solution we need.
Yeah, no, I hear what you're saying, Sean, and but I think there's always in every organisation you've got the dumbasses and those that push the limits. These guys have been caught, and that's what people need to know is that you can push the limits so far, But what I have noticed over the years that I've been working alongside police and supporting our survivors is that they don't tolerate their colleagues' crap. They actually call it out. So, and that's actually what happened with McSkimming and his cohorts. There were people under there, saw what was happening, and actually called them out on it, and stuff got done. I think, to have that overview from an Inspector General, that keeps them honest. I think it's kind of like, well, how do I apply for that job? Just kidding. I honestly believe that the police have done extremely well after the Baisley report. They have, the recommendations have been ticked. They have embedded what was required. But like I say, can better be done? Absolutely. You can always improve. And please keep improving. But please, I say to everybody out there, our frontline police officers, they're going to be ostracised again. They haven't done anything wrong. They do everything right. We've got amazing police officers out there who have that empathy, who have that integrity, who want to help, who want our survivors to feel safe, feel heard, feel believed. That's what I work with and my team works with every single day.
Louise, I was going to ask you that because I know you've had a police wing, graduate wing named after you. You've done a lot of work with police and within police to improve the culture. And God, I feel for every young or every frontline officer who is going to have to take the barbs about, about McSkimming and Costa and this horrible cover-up. So you're saying you think we've got to think of those people too and realise that most of them are good folk?
Absolutely. Yeah, we see it every day. And the public of New Zealand see it every day. Those men and women put their lives on the line for us every single day. And let's call it what it is. There are idiots out there. There are people within the New Zealand police that will push the limits and think they can get away with it. But it's been proven they can't.
Well, that's that's a forgiving attitude, given what you went through, Louise.
Yeah, no, well, it's kind of like, for me, it was a huge, I guess, wake-up call that, what happened to me happened with individuals. It wasn't the New Zealand police per se who hurt me. It was individuals within, and that's how we've got to look at it.
Okay. What advice would you have to this young woman who's bloody, like you, bloody brave?
Yeah, I mean, I take my hat off to her. She didn't give up. She kept going. And she has done absolutely nothing wrong here. She did everything right. But she got shut down by people that didn't want, their shit to come out. And that's how they did it. But she stood strong. And this is our survivors. This is who they are. They stand strong because they need to be heard. And she got heard.
Do you think we need to know more about what went on and how this unfolded?
To be fair, I think that the leadership team, the commissioner, they need to be transparent. I don't think we need to know the details. I think we need to hear what they're doing to improve and keep that going. The recommendations from the IPCA is like I said earlier, it's about slow and steady will win the race. Because of the recommendation, just don't go through and tick boxes. If you're going to do it right once.
Well, I just hope that in 30 bloody years I'll probably be pushing up daisies, you might be too, Louise.
Yeah, probably
that we're not going through this again.
Absolutely. absolutely. It's when it all came out, I just thought, oh, deja vu.
Yeah.
But I think this time, because of what happened way back in the day, and the Baisley report that came from it, police are onto it.
Yeah. Can I just say, I've still got some a-hole texting me saying, oh, be careful with Louise. No one was actually convicted of doing anything to it. Well, jeez. Sorry.
Yeah, no. And no, true that.
Yeah.
They absolutely, they were acquitted of all those charges against me.
Yeah.
But that just inspired that's why I went out, I came out swinging, because our justice system sucks. And I get that and I understand that.
And by you dragging it into the light, other issues came forward and they were convicted. Yep. And that's the problem with this cover-up too. We won't tell anyone, that's the right thing to do. And, of course, other victims may go unheard or unrecognised or suffer in silence.
Absolutely. But, yeah, so for those out there that are going, oh, well, because they weren't convicted, then it didn't happen. Bullshit. It happened.
I know it happened. I remember you telling me about it, sitting in that hotel room in Rotorua. Yeah. And I knew damn well it had happened. Yeah, but, it's our justice system. That's what we've got. That's what we have to work by. And it's not that I was disbelieved. It was just that wasn't enough evidence to get it to the threshold of beyond reasonable doubt. Yeah.
And I accepted that.
Yeah.
I know what happened. I don't care what anybody else says.
Yeah. Louise, I think you'd be a great person for this young woman to talk to, actually. I don't know if her lawyer would reach out to you and try and get hold of you, but I think you'd have a lot personally to offer her. I can't imagine it's pleasant. Even this moment of, I suppose, triumph isn't actually that pleasant.
Yeah. I mean, I just, if she's listening or, I just want to say thank you. She stood up, she stood strong. And well done, and don't let what has happened define her for the rest of her life. She doesn't need to do that at all.
And Louise, I'll give you the plug. What are you doing with yourself now? The charity you're running, the work you're doing, what is that designed around?
Yep, no, we've set up the Louise Nicholas Trust, and we support survivors of sexual violence and family violence survivors through the criminal justice system, and also just to be there as the listening ear, help them understand process. But it's not just for our survivors, it's actually for their whānau as well, because, that was the biggest learning for me was there was no one to support my family when I was going through all my stuff. So that was, for me, I needed people to understand that the families are just as impacted about what has happened as our survivors. So it's a real honour and a privilege to stand alongside them and support them through this, and seeing them going from head down, these vulnerable people, to walking out of court with their heads held high and saying, mate, I did it. I spoke my truth. I told my story. And actually that's all I wanted to do.
Bloody good on you. Always a pleasure and a privilege to talk to you, Louise. Thank you for your time this morning at such short notice.
No worries, Sean. Thank you very much.